So everybody got into a company for the first time, right? There would be everyone would have had their first day, right? So where did you spend your time? Okay, what else? Setting up development environment.
Yes.
Right? How much time did you spend on that?
Couple of days.
Couple of days, right? So what happens? We end up saying that, oh, your manager would like, oh, you have been sitting idle for 1 week, not doing any work. But background, what you have been doing? You have been trying to set up the dev environment, right? And do you get to understand all the services at one shot?
No.
Do you get to understand the entire system? Oh, okay, this is how, say for example, you go and join Gojek or you come and join VIDA. Everybody is running microservices, right? So there are like 50, 30 or 20 or say 10, 15 microservices. But are you exposed to all of it on day one? Or can you put everything on your desktop and start running? No, right? So, yeah, so everybody goes through this pain, right? So, the agenda of this workshop is like how to overcome this and try to understand how we did the software traditionally and what is the advantage you get when you move to Kubernetes, right? Or to move to the containerization world, and then how do you manage the containers, right? So this is the theme of the workshop. Okay. So traditionally, how we deployed the software, we bought the hardware, right? Basically, your laptop. You bought your laptop. You installed an operating system, and then on top of that, we installed the application, correct? So we bought our hardware. We installed, say, Microsoft Windows operating system or Windows Server, and then we started installing software like MS Office or whatsoever, right? So in production, what we try to do, we bought hardware, we installed Linux, and we started installing the application. If you're doing CentOS, if you're doing Red Hat, then you would install using yum, you would install packages, right? So this is how we try to do in the beginning days. Then what happened? We realized, okay, I think we are doing something wrong, or we are not utilizing the resources properly. Let's try to move a little ahead, and then we went into virtualization. So everybody understands what is virtualization? Okay, let me talk few words on it. So virtualization is like, say for example, you have a hardware, right? And then what does a hardware consist of? When you say I want to buy a smartphone, right? What do you look for What do you look for in a smartphone? Okay, operating system. What else do you like? CPU. Okay, good. Memory. How much photos you can store, right? What is the storage? What is the RAM, right? So this is exactly the same when you're trying to buy your hardware, right? You try to look how much of RAM it has, how much of CPU it has, right? So in the traditional way, everything was like one single resource, right? You had, say for example, 16 GB of RAM, and then you had, say for example, 8 CPU cores, right? So when you install an application, it was all of this was used by either that application, or for example, when you're so how many are Java developers here, or what programming language most of you use? Okay, Java. Okay, Node, good. So all of these applications consume some amount of memory, correct? So what would happen on a traditional software? You would say you would buy one server, you will run your application, and you will say, hey, you are allowed to use say 3 gigs of RAM, right? So what happens to the rest 5 GB of RAM? It is lying unused, correct? It is just lying, right? You are not using it, right? So in older days, the hardware resource was very costly, right?